This is the Tack and Pulse podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Battlestar Galactica, the movie that divided fans and the TV series that got cancelled. But is the movie about to get a second chance?
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
So back in 2022 or so, it was announced that there was going to be a TV series and a movie based around Battlestar Galactica. I have to admit, it wasn't really clear what they were doing, because initially the Simon Kimberg produced and written movie was announced to be a hard reboot. But then that seemed to change when Sam Esmail started talking about his version of Battlestar Galactica in a TV series that he was producing for the Peacock network. They kind of said that it was going to exist within the Battlestar Galactica universe that Ronald D. Moore had created with the just brilliant series that he did all those years ago. The mini-series, for me, is some of the best sci-fi that's been done in a long bloody time. It's right up there. If I was to pick my 5 favourite, couple of episodes of anything, that little mini-series that they did before the series would be amazing. I actually think Ronald D. Moore's Battlestar Galactica series sort of went off the edge a bit towards the end, but initially at least it was phenomenally good. So, was the movie going to be a hard reboot? Well, it seems that during the development, the guys over at Universal said, look, can we do this some way that could still exist within the Battlestar Galactica universe, so we're not just erasing what Ronald D. Moore did? And it seemed to be that was the conversation, at least. Sam Esmail had an idea for a series that wouldn't be aboard the Battlestar Galactica, is my understanding. It would be aboard another vessel, again, within that universe, and it was going to be pretty dramatic. There were going to be these battles, apparently, and there was going to be you were going to see 3 different sides of the same battle over 3 or 4 episodes, which I actually thought was a really interesting idea. And Sam Esmail was talking about how with dropping them on Peacock and a streaming service, you could drop them in different ways. Like, you could drop 1 episode and then 3 episodes at once, this like battle on 3 different sides, and then drop the next one. You know what I mean? So I think that would have been actually a really exciting way of doing it. But during the strikes, I actually told you guys on Scitrek about 6 months before it was officially announced that it looked like it wasn't going to happen. And then a little while after, lo and behold, the rest of the media caught up, and it was announced that it was no longer in development at Peacock. The movie, however, has never really been announced as not being in development anymore. I did tell you guys again during the strikes, when this was supposed to film in the summer of 2023, that it was going to get pushed back at least a year. But then I was told that it had dropped into development hell, and we wouldn't be getting to see the movie either. Now, Simon Kimberg was supposed to be writing and producing this film. And if you look at his IMDb, for one, he's been involved in some amazing sci-fi movies over the years, and some not so good. He was the producer for the awful Fantastic Four movie a couple of years ago, the one that you want to erase from your memory. But he was also the producer for Chappie, which is actually a really good movie, and one of my favourite movies from the last few years. He produced The Martian. He was also a producer for the Deadpool movies and a bunch of X-Men movies, including Logan, which is actually good. But yeah, he's done some terrible films. He was actually executive producer, though, for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is a film that I shouldn't like, but do. He's also, though, down for doing a dozen movies and things over the next few years. Just to pick out a few: Chairman Spaceman, obviously Battlestar Galactica still, an untitled Sony movie, an untitled Ryan Reynolds Netflix film, something called Red Shirt, Wayland, which is going ahead, Magic the Gathering, I understand, is going ahead, The Running Man, which is about to come out, which is a film I don't like the look of, but, we'll give a chance. He must have 30 or 40 things that he's working on at the moment as producer, including a remake of Logan's Run, which I don't think is necessary, but apparently it's going to happen anyway. Oh, the Leviathan. I think that's an animated movie, if I'm right. That's possibly on its way as well, but we'll see. So, Simon Kimberg was supposed to be writing this. As far as I understand, the script was completed, and he was going to produce and possibly direct, but at that point we weren't really informed. So what is happening now? Why am I saying it's getting a rebirth? Well, as I said, it was never really cancelled. The project was just sat there waiting. As I said, it's still on his IMDb, not that that really means anything. What I'm being told by somebody that actually is pretty close to Universal, is that this was a project they never really wanted to cancel. They always wanted to move forwards with it. But like lots of other studios during the strikes, they basically had a decision to make. They lost a year of the studio time. So they had to really move forwards once the strikes ended with stuff they either really wanted to do, stuff that they thought would make money for them, so they had to prioritise the projects, or they had to move forwards with things that either they'd spent a crap load of money on already and couldn't really afford just to scrap, or that, because of contracts and things, they'd got far enough with contracts that, again, it would have been too expensive to cancel. So, again, they had to prioritise. They've moved forward with projects that, for one reason or another, it was either just too expensive not to do, or that it was going to make them a crap load of money. That basically wasn't Battlestar Galactica at that point. The fact that the TV series, though, then got cancelled with Peacock is, I'm told, actually considered to be a good thing, because they've gone back to the idea of doing a hard reboot. A cinematic version of the Battlestar Galactica, what happened right at the start, basically that initial battle where the Cylons return. Now, we've never actually seen a cinematic version of Battlestar Galactica. Now, I know the original series, the first 2 episodes, is a movie, and I think it actually got a limited run at the cinema. But I mean a modern telling of this great story. And it is the Battlestar Galactica opening sequence. Like I say, it's a shame, really, Ronald D. Moore didn't get to do the miniseries as a cinematic movie, because it would have been phenomenal. I mean, it's near that quality, though, to be fair. But it does seem that Universal really actually do want to take this project to the cinema. I'm told that Simon Kimberg will no longer be producing. He'll actually now go on as an executive producer, and his script is being worked on already by a couple of other writers within a writing room somewhere. Don't think we've got very far in this process of developing this project, but I think the storyline basically is going to be there. It is going to be following along that the Battlestar Galactica is one of the last of the great Battlestars, that the Cylons have gone and they're returning. I actually think this is planned to be a trilogy of movies, from what I'm told, which again is really interesting because I can see the sort of 3 parts to the story. I hope they then don't find the Earth, because I don't think that ever really quite worked. It didn't really work with the original Battlestar, and I actually stopped watching Battlestar Galactica towards the end, but I did come back to it and try to get on board what was happening, but it really fizzled out. So, yeah, maybe they could go a different way with that. But, at very least, the Battlestar finding a safe haven. That would be great. I think if they find the Earth, it's in danger of just being a bit cheesy. So, let's see what they do if they actually get to produce a trilogy. Should they? Fans were divided when this was announced. And when it was first said that it was going to be a hard reboot, fans were really divided. And generally speaking, we don't really like hard reboots. As sci-fi fans in particular, we don't like hard reboots. Prequels are worse, but they keep doing them. Is this a project, though, I think actually could really work as a hard reboot? Like, as I said, the Ronald D. Moore version was brilliant, and Ronald D. Moore actually did give Sam Esmail his blessing. I assume Simon Kimberg was maybe got his blessing as well, I don't know. But, as I said, it was never done in the cinematic universe before. It was a massive TV project, but it was TV. I think this story could work on the big screen, a little bit grander, a really cool cinematic special effects and things. I just say that because, as I said, we've not seen it. So, the story, I think, fits a cinematic universe. And then could spin off into something else, maybe. the spin-offs of Battlestar Galactica historically have not worked particularly well. And I remember sort of Babylon 5 and J. Michael Straczynski talking about this, saying like, when he was talking about doing a hard reboot, he was sort of saying that it's got to be Babylon 5 again, because that's the name that people want to buy. And people were sort of saying, well, just do Babylon 4 or something. Don't do Babylon 5. Do Babylon 6, even though it's the last of the Babylon 5 stations, sort of thing. But just do something that's not that, because, you know, we don't want a hard reboot. We love the original series. This, I think, has a similar problem. They can't do a project within the Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica universe. It's got to be Battlestar Galactica, because that's the name people know, and it's what draw people to the cinema. So should they do it? Like anything really, it depends how well they do it. But if they do this well, I actually, like I said, think it would fit the cinematic universe. It's a big story that can fit on the big screen. But if they do it badly, this is really in danger of being embarrassing. Because Ronald D. Moore's version is so loved, if it's not really close to perfect, those fans are not going to like it. And let's be honest, when this project is announced, if it gets announced, it's going to get a lot of hate on social media. But what do you guys think? Get into the comments and tell me. Is this a project you'd like to see? Is it a project that, you know, really needs a good director and a different story, or a different version of the original story? Or should it just follow the story we know and love, but because it's on the big screen, that will make it a little bit more exciting? Get in the comments and tell me exactly what you think. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can become a member of the channel and get to see lots of our videos before everybody else. Go check that out. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.